Less than 1% of Antarctica's bedrock has been directly sampled. The continent sits under an ice sheet averaging 2,300 meters thick, and the ground beneath it has been sealed from the surface for millions of years in most places and tens of millions of years in others. Here are 7 discoveries pulled from beneath that ice in the last century. Among them, a mountain range larger than the Alps that no one knew existed until 1958. A lake the size of Lake Ontario sitting liquid under 4 kilometers of ice, and biological material recovered from sediment cores that places tropical rainforest where the polar ice sheet now stands. In 1958, a Soviet research team crossing the East Antarctic interior detected something unexpected in their seismic readings. A mountain range sitting entirely beneath the ice sheet, with peaks rising 3,400 meters from the bedrock, comparable in scale to the European Alps. Nobody had suspected anything was there. The Gamburtsev subglacial mountains cover roughly 1,200 kilometers of the Antarctic interior, sealed under ice for an estimated 35 million years, never seen by human eyes and likely never to be. What makes them scientifically disorienting is their condition. Radar surveys reveal sharp, jagged peaks with deep valleys, the kind of young topography that erosion normally wears smooth over millions of years. A mountain range that old should be nearly flat. The Gamburtsevs look like they formed recently, and the geological record offers no mechanism to explain it. Write in the comments where you're watching from. Curious to see how far this reaches. Beneath the Russian Vostok station in East Antarctica, under 3,700 to 4,300 meters of ice, Lake Vostok holds 5,400 cubic kilometers of liquid water, sealed from the atmosphere for an estimated of 15 to 25 million years. Russian scientists confirmed its existence through radar and seismic data in the 1990s, and the scale of what they found paused the project for years while researchers debated whether drilling through into the lake might contaminate it. What keeps the water liquid is a combination of geothermal heat rising from the bedrock and the insulating pressure of the ice above. When the Russian team finally broke through in 2012 and recovered water samples, preliminary analysis identified microbial DNA matching no known species in any database. Whatever is living in Lake Vostok has been evolving in complete darkness, under enormous pressure, cut off from every surface ecosystem for longer than most mammal species have existed. Beneath the ice sheet off the coast of Wilkes Land in East Antarctica, gravity and satellite measurements have identified a mass concentration anomaly roughly 500 kilometers across, sitting under 1.6 kilometers of ice and extending into the ocean floor. The leading explanation is an impact crater, the result of a strike that would rank among the largest in Earth's history if confirmed. The timing, based on geological layers above it, points to approximately 250 million years ago, which coincides with the Permian-Triassic extinction event, the largest mass extinction in the fossil record, during which an estimated 96% of all marine species and 70% of terrestrial vertebrate species disappeared. No confirmed physical sample of the crater has been recovered. The ice above it has never been drilled to the relevant depth, and the anomaly remains one of the most consequential unconfirmed geological features on the planet. If this is the kind of history you want more of, subscribing helps us keep going. In 2017, researchers drilling sediment cores from the seafloor off West Antarctica recovered material from approximately 90 million years ago and found fossilized pollen, spores, and the root network of a temperate rainforest preserved in place, indicating that the region now covered by the West Antarctic ice sheet once supported dense forest at a latitude comparable to modern Scandinavia. Temperatures in the Antarctic interior during that period reached an estimated 20 degrees Celsius in summer, with sea surface temperatures around 35 degrees Celsius, driven by atmospheric carbon dioxide concentrations several times higher than today. The forest grew where the ice now sits. The sediment core confirming it came up intact from a drill site that had spent 90 million years under the seafloor, waiting for someone to ask the right question. Radar surveys conducted between 2006 and 2020 mapped a river system running beneath the West Antarctic ice sheet. The system covers approximately 1,000 kilometers, running from its source near the center of the continent to the coast, draining water between subglacial lakes and lubricating the base of glaciers along its entire length. What the surveys confirmed was that the ice sheet does not rest on static frozen ground. It sits on an active hydrological system that behaves like a river basin, and the rate at which that system moves water determines in part how quickly the West Antarctic ice sheet loses mass into the ocean. The river had been running beneath the ice, unseen and unmeasured, for as long as the ice sheet had existed. Write in the comments which of these surprised you most. The answers are always worth reading. At the snout of the Taylor Glacier in the McMurdo Dry Valleys, a red liquid seeps from a fissure in the ice and runs across the surface of frozen Lake Bonny, staining everything it touches the color of rust. Geologist Thomas Griffith Taylor noticed it in 1911 and attributed the color to red algae, and that explanation held for over a century. A 2017 study using radio echo sounding traced the source to a brine reservoir beneath the glacier, a hypersaline liquid isolated from the surface for 1.5 to 2 million years, with the iron content oxidizing on contact with air to produce the red color. Microbial communities living in the reservoir survive without sunlight, without oxygen, and at temperatures well below freezing, sustained entirely by a chemical reaction between sulfur compounds and iron. They have been running that experiment continuously since before modern humans existed. Radar surveys published in 2016 identified a preserved river landscape beneath the East Antarctic ice sheet, covering an area roughly the size of the Appalachian Mountains, with valleys, ridgelines, and drainage channels intact under more than 3 kilometers of ice. These features date to a period before the ice sheet formed, when rivers drained the continent toward the coast. 3 kilometers of ice above this landscape should have deformed it through the weight and movement of glacial flow. But the radar returns show features sharp enough to map in detail. That suggests the ice above this region has remained largely static for millions of years, acting as a preservative rather than an eraser. A river valley that stopped flowing before the first stone tools were made, sitting perfectly intact under ice that has not moved since before our species existed. 7 discoveries lie beneath a continent that remains more inaccessible than the surface of Mars. The Gamburtsev Mountains have never been seen. Lake Vostok held microbial life matching no known species after 25 million years of isolation. The Wilkes Land anomaly may mark the impact that ended the Permian world. A Cretaceous rainforest once grew where the ice sheet now stands. A river system drains the base of the West Antarctic ice sheet in real time. Blood Falls has been running a biological experiment in darkness for 2 million years, and a river valley older than our species sits preserved under 3 kilometers of static ice, waiting for a drill that can reach it. The ice did not destroy what lies beneath it. In most cases, it preserved everything, locked, pressurized, and intact for timeframes that make recorded human history look like an afternoon. What the next generation of drilling and radar technology returns from those depths will not fill gaps in the existing story. It will require a different story entirely.